Hi ladies, here we are again with the next page of our mini-series. Let's make an ABC primer photo album. We're going to make this page. It's quite simple. It's got two tags in, or photo mats, and a cutout on the back. And then we're going to use one of the on the edge dies just to make the two pockets at the bottom. So let me take you through what we need. A new base page, 8x6 with the holes cut in it, and then one piece of paper for the background, which I've cut this one from the Happy Go Lucky 8x8 sheet. Two pieces of black card or cardstock, one 6x3 inches and one 6x2 inches. Oh, where is it? Here. And then two pieces of contrasting paper to go over the top. I've used these two, and I'm starting to use up scraps from the 8x8 papers. So one 3x6 and one 2x6. I've cut the picture from the Bedtime Stories. That was a 12x12 sheet, and that goes on the background. And then I've got two photo mats, and on the back I've stained some note paper, put two tags on the top, and then fussy cut out two of the characters from the Games at Playtime sheet that was the 12x12 size. And then just to finish off, from the building blocks page, I've just cut one letter out and one of the alphabet strips that runs down the side of it. The other thing we're going to use is the file tabs, the Tim Holtz on the edge die. I love these dies, although I had them for quite some time and never used them. So I'll show you how I put them through the machine to make sure that you get a really good cut. We'll need some double-sided tape, the 3mm, and just to save time I've inked everything that I'm going to stick down around the edges. Okay, so let me take you through how we build it up. Okay, so making sure your page is the right way up, you'll need your holes to the left-hand side. I'm doing it upside down, so mine are to the right. Upside down to me, that is. I'm going to just stick the base sheet of paper down using my ATG gun. If you've got this far, we've only got 3 more pages to complete, and then that's the end of the book. So if you're making as we go along, you should have some really nice books. Okay, let's stick that down. And we need to keep punching the holes as we go so that we know where they are, so let's just do that. I'm going to use my crocodile. So let's just turn it over and punch the holes back in, like that. Okay, and now we're going to stick the picture on the paper. I'm going to do that with some of my wet glue, but you can use anything. I don't want to put too much on so it squidges out of the edges. I'll just put a bit in the middle. Okay, must remember to put her on upside down. And at an angle. This book's quite square. There's not a lot of shapes other than straight edges. So anything that I stick down like this, I like to put at an angle just to give a bit of a change. So she's stuck down. And then you need to take your two pieces of card, that's your 3x6 and your 2x6, and the papers that you want to go over the top. This piece of paper I've cut slightly shorter. This is going to be the top pocket. Let me just show you. And it was a scrap piece of paper that I've got. So it's not quite as deep as the card, but it'll be hidden by the bottom tab that we're going to cut. And we're going to put that through the crocodile. And we're going to put that through the, I use my Cuttlebug using the on the edge die. So let me show you how to line that up. We're also going to use some double-sided tape. This is just thin double-sided tape that's quite easy to rip, just to hold it in place. So the die, I want to use one cut from each of the two edges. There's two file tabs on here, and I'm going to put let's just put the paper slightly down. I'm not going to stick it yet, but what I am going to do is I'm going to use the edge that's got the tab on the right hand side. I'm going to put paper and card face down, just slightly above the top of the tab, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on these dies. It is quite useful to draw yourself a straight line. I've done it that side, but I haven't done it this side. And always line your paper up with that straight line so that you get straight cuts. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of tape over there, and that just holds that in place. And then I'm going to put my top cutting mat on, hold that down, sit it on the bottom cutting mat, be careful not to move it, and then here's the trusty machine. I've had this machine for, I think, 6 years. I dread to think how much it's cut, how many times I've rolled the handle. Okay, so let's undo what we've cut. These dies are only 5.5 inches wide, so if you're doing anything that's longer than that, of course it doesn't cut right to the edge, so I'm just going to trim this. No, actually I'm not. I'm just going to take it off first. So let's just lift it up, move that away, take the papers, or split them, and then I'm just going to trim that 1/4 inch each end on the paper and the card, as carefully as I can. Okay, so that's one done. And if you haven't used these before, you may want to practice on some other paper too. Okay, so that's those two cut. And then when I stick them together, I'm just going to drop the paper slightly so that I get a black border at the top of the tab. And then I'm going to stick them together. So that's the first one cut. Now I'm going to do the second one using the other edge. So 2 pieces of card together, paper and card together, sorry. Turn them over. Let's just line those up. Now this edge I have got a pencil mark. Line them up so that they're straight. Just put a little tape on. Oh, I should have pulled that first. Just to hold them in place. Then put your cutting plate over the top. Cutting plate on the bottom. And then run them through the machine. Oh no, that's got a squeak there too. Take them apart, lift the tape off. separate them out, just trim that 1/4 inch either side with your scissors. And the same on the paper. Okay, let's move that out of the way. And then stick those together, leaving just a little black border along the top. Shorter one to the bottom one before we put them on the page. And what I've done is put some double-sided tape on the back of the 2x6 panel. I'm just going to peel those backing papers off. And then we're going to stick that onto the wider one, lining the bottom corners up, or bottom edges up. Okay. Oh, I haven't lined that up very well. Anyway, line yours up so that they're even at the edges. Let me just cut that overhang off. So at least that edge lines up. Okay. And then that gives us a short pocket and the longer pocket behind. And then we're going to stick that onto the page. And again, I've put double-sided tape on the back of that deeper pocket, and that just sits at the bottom like that. So let's attach that one. And try and line it up properly. Okay. Like that. I'm just going to ink that side, I think. Okay, so that gives us the two pockets. The next thing I did was cut out just a little one of the building block letters, and then I attached that with a paper clip. Just taken that off. But underneath that I just put a strip of the letters, the alphabet that runs down the side of the building block paper. This is from the 8x8 sheet. So I'm just going to stick that down. So I'm just sort of using cutouts and all the bits from the pages. I love this paper. I think it's such a shame to have to cut it up, but you can't just look at it. Okay. Every sheet of the paper I think is beautiful. So let's just go. I'm having the whoopsies. Okay, so just stick that down and trim. Oh, what have I got stuck all over the scissors? Trim it again. And trim that side. And then just under this lower pocket, I'm just going to put that letter on with the paper clip. So push the paper clip on and put the letter on. And then for the photo mats, 2 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mats, cut the corners again and put the slots in. And then on the back of each of them, I'd stained a piece of note paper, that's 3 by 5, and cut 2 of the characters out of the Playtime's 12 by 12 sheet and put those on to finish it off. And they just slide one under there and one in there. And that's it, page finished. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one shortly.